Bienvenue, bonjour, and welcome to episode 30 of francofille, a creative podcast. My name is Devin, and this is where I document my knitting and other fiber-related crafting. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry at bdevin. You can also find the podcast group on Ravelry if you search francofille in the groups tab. That's where I post show notes when I remember. I think I forgot last week. And also any other sort of pertinent threads for the podcast. So like if there's a knit along thread, the finished objects and chatter threads will be there. Introductions threads, ask me anything, all that kind of stuff. What else? You can also find my designs and yarns on both Ravelry and Instagram if you search francofille knits. I'm trying to keep that fairly consistent. Yeah, I think that's really all the pertinent, like, where to find me information. I say this once a week. You'd think I'd have it down by now, but apparently I can never quite remember. Yeah, let's see here. Fair deal to talk to you guys about this week. I've got 4 whips in front of me, including one that's new to you guys. I've got a finished object. And what else? Sorry, we've got a fly in here. I've got a tower of yarn update this week and all that good stuff. And also wanted to talk to you about the yarn that I picked out for the Stephen West Mystery Knit Along that's starting tomorrow. I can't wait. So yeah, lots to talk about. So sit back, relax, grab your knitting, all that stuff, and I'll just dive right in. All right, I'm going to start with my finished object this week. I feel like it's been a couple weeks since I had a finished object to show you guys. And this one should not be a real surprise. It was a hoe, I think, for 2 episodes. And then last episode, I was halfway through the second sock. So I finished my first pair of macaroon socks. Right, the MKAL sock pattern that is currently being test knitted. I shared a picture on Instagram the other day of pair being test knit by Carrie of Carry My Heart. She's also knitting hers out of Felici, which is, I'll show you my Felici pair in a second. But yeah, so the pattern should hopefully, fingers crossed, be out to you guys by the end of next week. So keep your eyes open on Ravelry and on Instagram for that. Cats and dogs being cats and dogs. Sorry, friends. But yeah, finish these. Wow, there we go. Sometimes I just like to make faces into the camera. It happens. Really, really, really excited about these. I finished these, I think, before last week's episode even went up. I think I was working on Kitchener-ing the toe as it was posting to YouTube. Like, I wanted them done. And I've been good, and I actually haven't worn them yet, even though I thought I was going to. Mostly because I wanted them to look so nice and pristine to show you guys. But yeah, so again, I'm so in love with these. Right, I love how that Eye of Partridge heel knits up in that colorway. The color, the yarn here is by Lolo Did It, and the colorway is Caterpillar Blues. And I don't remember which one of the name of the base that it's on, but it's her 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon blend. It's about 460 yards for 100 grams. So I don't remember the name of the base though. And it is just delightfully speckled. And I love it. I'm obsessed. So yeah, they're done. I'm excited. Hopefully you guys will be able to knit them up yourselves very, very soon. So far, no hiccups or anything like that coming from the test knitters. So I'm feeling very, very optimistic that they'll be ready to show you guys soon. Speaking of, I just mentioned that I was knitting up a pair in Felici as well. Here is that hoe. Poor hoe. All right, that's what it looks like knit up in Felici. This is the candy jar colorway. You can see the heel here is a little bit different from the last one. It's not the standard Eye of Partridge heel flap and gusset like the last one. This is the Kiss the Partridge heel, created by Shauna of the Shauna Stitches podcast. Right, that I test knit. I've showed you guys this I think it was 2 episodes ago. Love this heel. I'm already knitting up another pair of socks using it again. And yeah, I also cast on the second sock for this one. You can see I've got a long ways to go, but it's cast on, so it will get done. I think once I finish the 2 pairs that are on my needles now, I'm gonna be close to having my box of socks done. So the box of socks, that I just mentioned is a year-long knit-along being hosted by Kristen of the Yarngasm podcast, if you don't know. And yeah, the idea is that you knit 12 pairs of socks for yourself over the course of a year, right? And you put it in a fun little decorative box or something like that. Sorry, dog friend keeps ringing his bell to go outside, but he also rings it when he's bored. We were just out, so I'm gonna pretend I'm gonna keep an eye on him, but I think he's just bored. Anyway, box of socks, decorative box, right? So when she announced it, like back in January, I was like, that's an awesome idea. I love knitting socks. This sounds like something I totally should do. And then all spring semester, I was just having issues with my sock knitting. I was having issues with gauge. I was having issues with not being able to follow a pattern to save my life, with having, not pairing yarn and pattern and all that kind of stuff. So I think during the spring semester, I finished 1 pair of socks for myself, maybe 2. Not a ton is my main point though, right? Like I knit 2 pairs of socks for my sister-in-law. I knit myself for sure 1 pair of socks. And I think I failed fairly miserably with like 3 pairs of socks. So come May, I was just like, you know what? It's not gonna happen. Like, that's fine. I wasn't posting anything. Didn't have my heart set on making it through this. And then with the obsession with sock knitting that I had this summer, I think I may actually end up being able to complete 12 pairs of socks this year. I think I'm at either 7 or 9 last time I counted. So I think, yeah, once I finish the 2 socks that are on my needles currently, I'll recap with you guys all the socks that I've knit so far this year for myself. Since Sarah's already got the ones that I've gifted to her. So yeah, lots and lots and lots of sock knitting. Yeah, including 2 designs of my own in the last 12 months. So that's kind of fun. I don't even know what I was saying about this, but yeah, really, I mean, it's just so fun, right? This yarn just makes me happy. You guys know me, this is not my normal color palette, but I just really, if there's anywhere in your wardrobe to really incorporate like a wild or crazy for you color palette, or yarn that just calls to you, right? But doesn't necessarily fit anything else you wear, it's your socks. Like, go ahead, knit yourself up some crazy socks, right? You know they're there. Maybe nobody else does, but they make you happy. That's what matters, right? Like if I happen to have some like awesome neon yarn, I would make socks because it's not something I'm normally gonna wear, and it wouldn't end up in my normal rotation with my knits because it wouldn't go with anything else that I wear. So putting them in a pair of shoes, that's fine, right? That's my thought anyway. But yep, so these will be done soon. Yay for that pattern. Last time we talked, I showed you guys a bunch of new sock yarn that I had gotten and my plans for my next pair of socks, and I have already cast those on. This is the 85 colorway, again by Lolo Did It. I think this is her awesome sock base, but I don't remember. I think it's an 80-20 blend superwash merino and nylon, and it's a 2-ply. It's only 400 yards for 100 grams, so different base from the last one that I used. Really love this base. Kind of obsessed. Debating switching one of my bases to this or something similar to this, right? So you can see it's a navy, orange, and yellow colorway, right? Here it is, what's left of my sad little cake. And I'll show you first the stockinette portion, right? I'm well into the foot of this sock. I may actually start the toe in a second here. So here's how that colorway knits up in plain stockinette, right? Really love how you get the diagonal stripes created with just the way that the dye naturally pulls as you knit it up. But I'm not just knitting vanilla socks with these, even though they would be absolutely gorgeous as just plain vanilla socks. I don't know why, but I really wanted to knit up another one of my own patterns in these socks. So I pulled out my, excuse me, I'm a little allergy congested right now, so this may not come out quite right, but it's my broderie anglaise, or broderie anglaise, totally Americanify that, no worries there, broderie anglaise socks, right, which is English embroideries, the translation of that, which is just a stitch pattern, right? It's the name of the stitch pattern, and that's what that looks like on this. I really enjoy this stitch pattern. Was a little nervous that it was just going to be way too much going on, but I actually really enjoy it. Right? Like the little sunbursts that happen, right, when the longer stitches are in the orange or yellow. But yep, really, really, really like, sorry, I'm like staring at the sock and not at the actual camera. Really, really like how this is knitting up. Right? Top and bottom there. Right, I like that, right? You can really see the difference between what happens to the yarn when it's being knit up in pattern versus in stockinette. So, yep, good way through. Doing another Eye of Partridge heel. See that there? Gorgeous. And yeah, I'm excited. I think these are going to be, you know, another favorite. So, what else did I want to say about these? Oh, yeah, remember last week how I said that I hated knitting on Hiya Sharps and they're just not for me? They're back. I'm immediately a liar, right? Those are the Hiya Sharps, same ones I used for these ones, right? US size 2, Hiya Sharps, not a terribly long, maybe 24-inch cable maybe? So not crazy long enough that I can magic loop comfortably. But it's just because of the stitch pattern. If I tried to use a less pointy, it's a little bit harder to do with a less pointy needle, right? Because the stitch pattern doesn't require like a crochet hook or anything like that. It's just on all with your knitting needles. And it's a free pattern, so I'm not even giving away my own secrets here or anything like that. Free pattern on Ravelry. But yeah, just because of the way it knits up, I wanted something a little bit pointier. So there we have it. I already, yeah. It happens, right? There is a purpose for Hiya Sharps, and that is, I mean, that's fine. Oh, I just really like these. They're so much fun to knit up. I'm really glad that I cast these on right away because they're just a blast, and they're fairly mindless too. Especially now that I'm, you know, doing half stockinette. So that's really fun, and that's it for my normal sock whips for the moment. I'm gonna take a break real quick to deal with Puppy Friend, and then I'll be right back for my other 2 whips right now. All right, that's all squared away now. Hopefully he's good. Just that's how life goes, right? Anyway, one more whip that you've already seen before I show you the other new project this week, because can't have too many whips on the needles, right? And this is my Portage cardigan. Sorry, I'm like trying to wrangle with it. Sorry about that if that was a little loud for you. But here we go. You can kind of see where I'm at broadly speaking. All right, I've made some definite progress with how far I'm down underneath the armpit. Yeah. In terms of actual distance since I last showed you, I've put on another maybe 2 inches. It would be farther, except I don't know what I did. No, I know exactly what I did. That's a lie. I screwed up the stitch pattern. There it is. A little bit. I just got off a little bit in right next to one of the armpits. Right, or underarms really at this point. Here, right? Except that it went all the way across to where the stitch marker was. Like the entire half of the row got screwed up. So it just looked here. Like it's happened a couple times like that. But for like half of the row. So it was way too much for me to just say, oh, forget it, I'll never see it. And by the time I caught it, I think I was 3 rows past that. And so I was sitting there debating with myself like 3 nights ago, just like, do I rip back all of that work? Because again, I mean, I've got a couple hundred stitches on the needles, right? Like it's a big thing. Do I rip all of that back, fix it, and then continue on? Or, I mean, it needs to get fixed. How am I gonna go about doing this? So what I decided to do was to drop down in 2 stitch at a time increments down, the 3 or 4 rows that it was, and fix it. And it's not just like fixing a dropped knit or purl stitch, right? It's a twisted cabled stitch. So I seriously spent, God, it must have been like 3 hours total doing this. It was one evening and then one morning. Just going through and fixing and fixing and fixing. And then finally, I think I had like 12 stitches, or not even. Like 6 or 8 stitches left in the messed up pattern. But it's on the side where my arm is going to be, right? It's still going to be covered by my upper arm. So I just was done at that point. I was so done at that point that I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to keep going. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. And I mean, clearly it is, because I'm even struggling now to really actually find where exactly that happened. So, adventures in sweater knitting. Yeah, I'm still really happy with this sweater. It is somewhat slow going. Clearly, I've only put on maybe 4 inches in total since I picked this back up 2 weeks ago. But you know what? Like I said last week, it's gonna be sweater weather for a while. By the time I'll get wear out of it by the time I finish it, as long as I don't put this off and drag my feet on it until like April. As long as I can get it done sometime before March, which is being extremely generous with myself there. I think that's like 6 months from now, but I make no promises. I mean, it's a sweater. It could get pushed to the side by other projects very easily. Yeah, I'm just trying not to be very harsh on myself when I'm making a couple inches of progress at a time. What else? I also decided to modify a little bit how I am keeping track of my increases. All right, so the candy canes are stitch markers that I actually got in the Knitting Expat swap a couple months ago. And these are from my swap partner, Madeline, who lives in Sweden. She sent me some Christmas themed stitch markers that I hadn't had a chance to break out yet. But I decided, having cute metallic candy canes, sorry, I don't know why that just completely fell out of my head, as stitch markers would motivate me to keep going. It's one thing I've been doing a lot with this project, just periodically I'm changing out the stitch markers I think it's just something new to look at as I spend hours and hours knitting on this thing. And then what else? I've also added then progress keepers at my increases, so I know how many of the increases I've done. I had been keeping track of that on a row counting app, but I wasn't being consistent with whether I was kind of clicking the row at the beginning or the end of the row. It was just getting to be cumbersome to have to remember to pull up the app and have that device with me because it's on my iPad, not my phone, and first world problems. So I just went low tech with it, and I'm actually far happier with this low tech solution. So it's just a little progress keeper that I've slipped in on the increase itself. And that seems to be doing a better job for me keeping track of how far I am. Plus now all of my little dangly things kind of match. They're all silvery, which is fun. Yeah, and then these progress keepers are all, if I can keep it up, there we go, are all beer themed. And I actually got these from Allie and Abby of Get Lit and Knit a couple months back, so that's kind of fun too. So all of my stitch markers have been gifted to me, so that kind of makes it a little special too. So yeah, that's what's going on with the well, not that one, I made that one. Yeah, that's what's going on with this beast of a sweater. It grows. I am solidly into my third skein of yarn. It's going back and forth. Is it third? Is it fourth? Definitely my third. So yeah, the beast lives and continues to get love. What else? The last one, which has been a little bit of a hit on Instagram, which makes me happy. I am working on a Christmas stocking. I don't know, this week I was just kind of, we had a real cold snap last weekend, and I was thinking about the fact that it's already October, 6th today? So if I'm gonna get all of the Christmas knitting that I'm hoping and planning to get done, I need to have already started, basically. And every year, every couple of years, I tend to make a pile of Christmas stockings for my friends and my family. Mom's definitely received some. Me and Jordan have some. Other family members have gotten them too. So my best friend has been wanting one for a while, and I decided it was finally time to just sit down and make Varsha a Christmas stocking too. So V, I'm sorry I'm spoiling your Christmas gift, but this happens. Yeah, I've been just having so much fun knitting on this. I also just was really in the mood to knit some Fair Isle, right? The pattern here, I got it as a kit a couple years back from Knit Picks. You can see my instructions here are super beat up. But this is the Heartwarming Stockings, right? And I'm using Knit Picks wool, the Andy Sport, right? So super durable, surprisingly soft, just kind of real workhouse kind of yarn. Workhorse. Workhouse is something totally different. All right, I'm just having fun with lots of different little stitch patterns, right? I love it. I'm having so much fun. And I get to, this was actually the real reason I broke out those Christmas stitch markers from Madeline. Right, look at that. Oh, little Father Christmas. Little Santa stitch marker. I think he's so cute. But yeah. I know somebody had put in a request a couple months ago for a Fair Isle tutorial, right? How to do stranded color work. And I hadn't been working on anything in that, so I hadn't done that yet, but I think I may actually go ahead and do that tutorial soon. Just because I love knitting Fair Isle. I just don't do it as often as I wish I did. I used to do it a whole lot more often. All right. So fun. I am using, again, Knit Picks interchangeables. I mean, that's just kind of, we've been over this. These are my go-tos. And I believe these are US size 5. Yes, they are. And they are on a 16-inch cable so that I can just go around and around and around and not worry about magic looping or anything like that. All right. You can see that along the seam it gets a little bit messy, but generally my floats are kind of nice. Right, fairly clean. Yeah. So I'm working on this. It's kind of a weird construction, right? Because it's just currently just a tube of Fair Isle. You do a provisional cast on at the toe and then work your way up and then do an afterthought heel and an afterthought toe, which is not how we would ever normally knit socks, right? But it's not a sock, it's a stocking, right? So that little lime green line there, that's where I'm gonna put in the afterthought heel. So yeah, that's what's happening with this. So I am, what is it? I've got to finish. I've got another probably 5 or 6 inches left to do in collar work here. And then it'll be time to put that all together. So I am seriously gonna, finish this here and try and get this off these needle tips ASAP because I need these, right, US size 5s for the Stephen West Mystery Knit Along. So I may just sit down and plow through these today. Right, try and get this as close to done today as I possibly can. This is honestly like 2 afternoons and evenings worth of knitting. Oh, there you go. You can kind of see the little flower motif up there a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, it really knits up amazingly quick, especially because it's a sport weight yarn. I'll show you guys once I start decorating for Christmas and stuff in a couple weeks, months. We hold off until after Thanksgiving. That is a very firm rule in our house. But yeah, once we start when I break out our Christmas decorations, I'll show you guys the ones that I knit up for me and Jordan. Sorry, I'm bouncing around a little bit here, but yeah, I'm gonna get that done today. So I may even prioritize this over editing and getting the podcast out. So yeah, today's Thursday. Podcast may not be out until Saturday morning. Or Saturday? That may just be what happens. We shall see. Sorry, having a little bit of Earl Grey tea with milk. So yeah, that is everything that I've been knitting on so far. I can show you guys. Oh, hi, Pup. He's just being, sorry for the earthquake, aggressively affectionate. He is bored. Yesterday, Mom came down with her dog, Greta, who is a 100-pound German Shepherd, right? He is half that. And they had their first little puppy play date and it went so well. He just ran and ran and ran and ran and ran for hours. And so he is just like, why is there no friend for me to play with today? What is going on? I want to go outside and run. So I will have to do that with him soon. We did that a little bit already before I started recording, hoping that he would be able to nap. I think he's just wide awake and hears me talking, so he expects to get some attention. Like with a puppy. Yes, hi, sweet boy. Anyway, Stephen West Knit Along is happening tomorrow. It starts tomorrow. So let me pull down all of that stuff. Got my little tower of yarn. So, I had asked you guys on Instagram and in a poll on Ravelry what colorways I should use for my building block shawl. We know the name of the pattern, that's about it so far. And I really wanted to use my own hand-dyed yarn, and I wanted to use colorways from my Flowers of Evil, Les Fleurs du Mal collection. And so all of the pictures I showed you included 3 of those 3 colorways from that collection plus one of my tonals. And then there were a couple comments about making sure I had enough contrast, which is absolutely true. Whenever you're doing any kind of knit project with multiple colors of yarn, multiple colorways, you want to make sure you have enough contrast between the colorways that it doesn't end up becoming muddy. And it doesn't have to be like extreme contrast like black and white, but enough that the colors actually come through, right? And so I also looked at Stephen West's recommendations, and he recommended having basically like 2 more solid or tonal colorways and then 2 that were either like a speckled, or no more than 2 that were like speckled or variegated or pops of color, right? So I decided to kind of revisit what I had suggested and really think about wearability and all that. And so I ended up sticking with 2 colorways from my Flowers of Evil, and then adding in 2 tonals instead of just 1. So this is the palette that I've gone with, right? Sorry, it's kind of hard to hold up 4 skeins of yarn at once in a way that you can see them all. So, do it like this. So over here we've got Song of Autumn, right? Which is a really nice green with speckles, right? It's got kind of brown and burnt orange and some kind of bluer ones in there too. Just really gorgeous. And then the other one from that collection is my Damned Women colorway. Again, kind of fun, sort of tonal lilac color, right? Some that are almost bare, and then gets areas where it's darker and a little bit grayed out. And then again, fun with green and rust and yellow speckles, right? Really love this colorway. Really, really, really love it, and cannot wait to cast this on. And then my 2 tonals, my go-tos, I've got Dijon and Slate Roof. So nice blue-gray and a mustardy yellow. And I am really thrilled with this combination. I think that's going to be absolutely gorgeous together. And I'm going to get a ton of wear out of this. I was also kind of thinking back to other color work or larger shawls that I've done in a bunch of colors, and even when they were colors that I really liked together, just the way they were knitting up together, it just wasn't going to be something that I got a lot of wear out of. So I think this, where it's not quite as bold and in your face as some of the other combos that I was thinking of, right, knowing that I've got my go-to Grello and all that kind of stuff. Right, I think there's enough contrast in there, which I checked doing, taking a picture of it in black and white, making sure they don't all end up looking like the same tone of gray. Right, that's kind of what I mean by contrast. As long as you can identify all the different colors as different shades of gray, white, or black, you should be okay. But yeah, I think this is going to be really, really nice. And I think I'm going to end up getting a lot of wear out of whatever ends up being knit out of this. Basically, all we know so far is that it's going to include brioche. So that'll be fun. So yeah, this, in addition to finishing this bad boy up, or getting it close to, so I can steal the needle tips, I'm going to cake these 4 friends up. So they'll be ready to go. So yeah, I mean, that's basically everything so far in my little land of knitting that I've worked on over the last week. I've been doing a lot more knitting in public over the last week. I found a little coffee shop in, not our town, but the town Jordan works in, and went there a couple days last week and sat and knit, which was really, really, really nice to do. I hadn't done that since Bloomington. So that was really just like, oh yeah, this is what life is like. It was kind of a nice little return. And then Jordan's birthday was Saturday. No, it was Tuesday, but we celebrated on Saturday. That was the difference. And so we tailgated the homecoming game at the college he works at. And it was actually the first time I had ever kind of like helped organize a tailgate. My first tailgate ever had been the weekend before that, so just jumping in with both feet, right? And that's when I cast this little guy on and was knitting on this a little bit at the tailgate. It was really cute. There was a lady in the sort of tent area next to us at the tailgate next to ours, who came over and asked what I was doing. She was so funny. Sorry, the dog again. Ugh. I don't have anywhere to put him. Like our his living space is very open concept. There's not like a room I can just close him off into. Everything just kind of flows one room into the next. So sorry about that, guys. Maybe we'll continue to hop around the house and record at different locations next week. Anyway, I got distracted. A woman in the little tent next to us came over and asked me if I was knitting on toothpicks because she had never seen anything so small. And they are small, they are tiny. They are US size 1 DPNs, right? They're just little guys. But yeah, so that was fun. So it's just kind of always fun to knit in public and talk to people about whatever you're working on, right? But yeah, so that's been kind of my week. Other than that, I've been doing a fair deal of dyeing. Got a big shipment of bare yarn in this week, including a new DK weight base that I'm really excited to offer now. So I am dyeing up some test skeins of that right now as we speak. And then those should be available in the shop. I mean, test skeins, right? Like they're existing colorways. Just gonna dye them on the DK weight, see how that turns out, what I've got to adjust, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so those will be, I'll dye up a bunch of that stuff this week, and that'll be available next week in the shop. Available this week in the shop, let's see here. I've got any of the colorways really from either the early fall collection and the Flowers of Evil collection, right? So I've got some more Damned Women already dyed up. Sorry, I'm like grabbing other colorways from that down here. Got some Misty Sky, right? Which is really nice. It's really almost a tonal. It's just kind of like a really, yeah, we've talked about this one. I really enjoy this one. We've got some Evening Harmony, which I was showing it to Mom. She's like, that's a really nice, like, burnt orange color. I'm like, oh, I mean, it looks more red to me, but I definitely see what she's saying. Where it definitely has that, like I've said before, like a really warm red, right? Verging on orangey, which I like. I've also got another skein that needs to be retwisted of Song of Autumn, right? Which again is one of my colorways for my shawl. I've got plenty of tonals. I've been dyeing up tonals like crazy. So here I've got some more Dijon and some Citrouille pumpkin, right? Love this. This is so good. Had a couple requests for Summer in Provence, so I've got some of this dyed up. Just got like this pile of yarn growing in front of me, and it is so fun. A couple of one-of-a-kind skeins where I'm just kind of playing around right now. This one doesn't have a name yet, but it kind of reminds me of, this is gonna sound really random, but like the chocolate covered cherry candies my grandmother always used to have next to her armchair. It's not necessarily what I was going for, but after it dried, I was just like, oh, that's totally what that makes me think of. But yeah, just a really nice saturated red with then some brown speckling, and then some areas where the brown and red really blended together. It's just a really nice rich red. Really enjoy that. This purple and blue, which sort of like yellow and blue and purple speckles, is available too, right? Oak number 2. And then I've got one skein left of this one, right, which is that kind of reddy orange and blackish gray one, which is really cool. Kind of a fun take on a Halloween colorway too. Really enjoy this one. That's what I've got dyed up already. I'm dyeing up more today. Be knitting on that Christmas stocking in between dyeing. And yeah, I mean, that's what I've been up to. trying to think what else. Yeah, next week, the first clue for that mystery knit along comes out tomorrow. So hopefully I will have some good progress on that to show you guys. Super excited. I've never done one before. And Stephen West keeps posting on Instagram like all of his previous knit alongs. I didn't realize he'd been doing them forever. I think he's done 5 already. This is number 6. So yeah, like some of his absolute classic shawls nowadays started out as mystery knit alongs, like the Exploration Station, obviously the Doodler, a couple more too I can't even think of off the top of my head, but kind of, I don't know, it's gotten me very pumped up. And then Knit Stars, that what are they calling it? An online summit, kind of a webinar sort of series, starts either this weekend or next week. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I know I'm gonna get notification about it. So lots of fun stuff with yarn all coming up for me. So I'm really, really excited about this weekend. And so I will definitely have a lot more to talk to you guys about next week for sure. But yeah, with all that being said, I haven't talked about all these whips and all this yarn. Like seriously, like it's the yarn really does end like just below what you can see on the camera, which is really exciting for me. Just saying, I've got a mountain. It's so much fun. Oh, I didn't even say when the shop update is. Like I said last week, really, it's a rolling sort of shop update. As I get things, I just kind of put them up there, but like official shop update sort of thing. I'm just gonna keep at 8 p.m. Friday. So 8 p.m. what is gonna be tomorrow for me. Possibly, hopefully this will be up by then, maybe not, but follow me on Instagram for sure. If you are an Instagram human being. That was super awkward. If you're on Instagram, follow me on Instagram. I'm at bdevin. That's where I put up, you know, notices for shop updates and new episodes, all that kind of good stuff. I also take way too many pictures of yarn and knitting and puppies. I try and save him for the story, but yeah, follow me on Instagram, long and the short of it. I'm completely rambling now, so I'm gonna say goodbye, and I'll see you guys again next week. Bon tricot, happy knitting.